Hi. I wanted to talk about the most difficult hurdle there is in the entire exploration of the self. I do a fair amount of consulting, and this is a topic that comes up all the time. People often say that they want to be liked, that they struggle with this problem of life. And I think it's true of everyone. It's just that in these videos, we get a certain kind of seeker. There are people who seek meaning through many other channels. There's many ways that the self can try to find meaning, purpose, and accomplishment in this life. But we will never be truly satisfied until we realize who this I really is. And the problem, when we ask the question, who am I? What is this I? We pose the question in such a way that the mind naturally asserts that there must be an answer. And it asserts that there must be an answer that the mind can express in words. And so when the question is posed in this way, it creates an infinite loop, because there is no answer to this question. The question points to its own emptiness. When we ask, who am I? The question goes into emptiness. So the mind, which is unsettled by the question, the mind says, well, I'm me. It's obvious. And, in most people, that belief, and it is a belief, is what is accepted for the whole of their lives, because they don't really investigate it. They don't say, well, who am I? And you go, well, obviously I'm something. But this me is not just this something. This me is an idea, an image. And what the image does, it reflects its own psychology, its conditioning, the way it was raised within its own family. And so, it becomes kind of an entity, and it is exactly an entity. And we can think of this psychological me as you might think about anything. I mean, here I am sitting in this room, and I'm speaking to this computer, and we're communicating in some fashion, and we are seeing in a universe of objects. And this is yet another clue. This me is a thought. It's one object among a million other objects. But the me object has its own unique qualities. It's an object that defends itself. And if you were to attack a wild animal, the wild animal would defend itself. The me is part of the body. And just like I have nothing to do with how my body was created and how it will die and how it gets sick, it has its own characteristics unique to the entity. This mind, me, is part of the body. And just like the body, it's something that simply occurs in this space. It self-embraces. So when it gets defensive, if it's attacked or if life has given it some hardship and it's uncomfortable, it will do what any other living entity would do in this universe. It will defend itself. It will try to find some way to reduce its suffering. And so all of this is seen in this, what the Buddhists call this spaciousness of I. It's all just seeing. And it is exactly this seeing that is liberation. Just this. So this me is a thought. It's a thought that generates itself. All thoughts. If this is the me, my two hands put together, and a thought is a little twinkling thing up here, which comes and goes. Most thoughts don't hang around very long. Each thought requires a believer. And so their thoughts do not occur individually. They must, if they have power or meaning, they must have a believer. So every thought generates a believer. So there's the big, generative area, like the soil of the self, and then there's these little twinkling thoughts. Oh, it's gray outside, or I'm sitting in this room, or I like music, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter, but every thought requires a believer. So if you want to heal, if you want to find this liberation that so many people talk about, don't focus on the thoughts. Focus on this clinging nature to the believer. So it's like this believer here, little twinkling thought, and there's like a filament that attaches each thought, a little thread-like filament that attaches each thought to this believer. And so when we notice the clinginess, we're getting a lot deeper. And all of this is seen within the just presence. And presence is the power in which all things are seen in this moment. And there's no entity in the universe that's experiencing this but you. You are the power. I wrote about this recently on my blog. The post has some title like, this will blow your mind. And it really will. You are the power. It's more than just presence. It's presence and power, P and P. And it's extraordinary when you realize that you're empowering all of this effortlessly. It's an effortless power, including people who you may say are your enemies or people you really like, and you're the power behind it all. You are the power of this, and this is always changing. Yet the underlying presence and power always stays the same. And so this me thought, this thought which is very brittle, it's easily threatened, it's easily undermined, it's often very sensitive. And I was raised in a family that hated sensitive people. It hated if I were sensitive. It thought people were weak when they were sensitive. But the me thought is very sensitive. My parents simply had other ways of understanding life. And that itself is very interesting. And so when you release from all this, all of it gets very interesting. Everything is interesting. Colors, the way things touch your body's really interesting. Maybe a little embarrassing in my case. But it's all very interesting, and that's the beauty of liberation. You realize you're the power and the presence behind it all. You see birds flying in the air? No one experiences those birds the way you do. And you are that power. And so therefore, you can become an artist of your own experience. And you can start using the powers of your mind and your imagination to mold and change experience in fun, playful ways. The moment you make it serious and go, well, this is valid, it's only valid for you. So, that there now you're inserting, in fact, a belief that goes beyond the real, which is true of all beliefs. They all go beyond the real, and they're ways of trying to secure power forcefully because this me is not realized. Anyway, just a couple of ideas for you to consider, think about, have fun with. I don't know if I'll do a video before the holiest of holy days, Christmas. But if I don't, I wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. And just, you can enjoy it all if you see it from the position of presence and power. Thank you. Bye.